Do you want to be in the know about all things Kansas City Chiefs? Well, boy, I got the deal for you. You can join the Noti gang today by hitting that bell button and bang, you're going to get notifications for every single video we post. That way, if a luxurious Sneed trade happens, you're going to be the first one to know. I'm telling you, you're going to want to be a part of it. We got a good show planned for you today. I'm your host, Jace Andrews, and well, without further ado, let's get right into it. Busy topics today with the Mel Kiper mock draft dropping. We're going to tell you who the Chiefs selected at pick number 32. Spoiler alert, it's someone similar to what we have talked about. Also, Kiper mentioned some non-wide receiver draft targets he could see the Chiefs going after. We'll mention who those guys are and what I think about them and maybe some of my own non-wide receiver draft targets. Plus, I know you're all fiending for it. We're going to give you a little bit of a luxurious Sneed trade update and just everything that we have heard thus far in the past 24 hours. All right, Kiper's latest mock draft dropped a couple days ago. And, well, Mel, he has let's say a formula. He continues to pick similar people every single time. And, well, guess what? He says that same way. Now, he went to a familiar face. Before then, I do want to remind you of his previous mock drafts and who he had the Kansas City Chiefs taking. So Troy Franklin was the first one he had. Funny enough, this was before the Super Bowl, so he had the Chiefs picking at 28 rather, and had Troy Franklin going. Now in this mock draft, he doesn't have Troy Franklin going in the first round. And then, of course, we've talked about it. The latest one he had was the speedy Texas wide receiver Xavier Worthy with the fastest 40-yard dash time on record. Well, guess what? He stayed true to his word because with the 32nd overall pick in his 3.0 mock draft, the Chiefs select A.D. Mitchell. Adonai out of the University of Texas sticks to his guns and goes with another Texas wide receiver. Who would have thunk? It's not like we've been talking about Adonai for 8 months or so. I love this pick because A.D. is honestly, in my mind, the best true wide receiver past the first three. Those first three being Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, and then, of course, Malik Neighbors. A.D. played a couple of different places in his college career, one of them being Georgia, the other one being, guess what? University of Texas. He played in 5 different playoff games, and guess what? Scored a touchdown in all 5 of them. Now, the big thing that I like about A.D. is it's not just his hands. It's not just the speed that he showed at the NFL Combine, which, by the way, people were projecting his 40-yard dash time to be around the 4.7. He ran a 4.35. This guy's got speed. It's not Xavier Worthy's speed, but I'd argue the way he is able to get off the ball and make space in between defenders makes him the better receiver than Xavier Worthy. And in the same offense, A.D. had more touchdowns. Now, I think the big thing with those 5 games and 5 touchdowns, a touchdown in every single playoff game he played for, is that big-time plays come in big-time games. And that's what I like about him. And honestly, playing with the Chiefs, guess what? You're going to have some big-time games that you're going to have to step up in. I continue to say, with the signing of Marquise Brown, I don't see Xavier Worthy anymore because that's the same type of wide receiver as, guess what, Marquise Brown. So I'm going on A.D. Mitchell. I'm going on Ladd McConkey. And I know a lot of y'all have been in the comment section saying, I'm not so sure about Ladd. He's kind of small. His agility is nice, but I'm not so sure. Well, I kind of agree. I would like A.D. more. I just personally don't think he's going to be available at 32. But I will say one thing. Mel Kiper obviously giving us A.D. Mitchell in his latest mock draft, but you want to know who talked about Adonai Mitchell nearly 8 months ago? Oh, that's right. The Chiefs report. Yeah, we talked about this so long ago because we had a mailbag. And guess what one of the questions was? Who would you like the Chiefs to draft? I said Adonai Mitchell. Here we are 8 months later, and the biggest draft guy in the world, Mel Kiper Jr., says, oh yeah, they're going to get A.D. Mitchell. Don't know about you. Think you would think that's deserving of a subscribe. That's just all I'm saying. Do you like the pick of Mitchell in round 1? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Do you think this is a good pick for the Chiefs? Do you like the wide receiver still going in round 1? Well, now's your time. Y for yes for A.D. Mitchell, N for no. All right, other options. I know you probably clicked on this video thinking, okay, if they don't go wide receiver, who in the world are they going to take? Well, luckily, Mel Kiper kind of gave us a little bit of insight to what he's hearing and the guys that he could potentially see the Chiefs going after, if not in the wide receiver room. If we look at the team needs, it's very obvious that the number 1 need is still wide receiver because I kind of say it again and again in every show. It's crazy how good the Chiefs were last year and how they're better this year already. And we're not even going to be talking about games. With the signing of Marquise Brown, this wide receiver room is great, but there's not too many positions of need. Left tackle is one of them because Wanya Morris is your starter right now with Donovan Smith being the free agent that he is and probably not re-signing with the Chiefs. And then cornerback just because we don't know what's going to happen with Jace Sneed. If he is traded, I think that is something the Chiefs want to make sure they watch out for. Now, Kiper gave us 3 offensive linemen. He said that if they don't go wide receiver, they are going to go on the offensive line. Now, I'll tell you about those 3 guys, what I think about them, and maybe some of my own picks for non-wide receiver draft targets here in just a moment. But again, Super Bowl champions feels nice. And I got to tell you, I continue and say to myself, Chiefs are back-to-back champions. That hasn't been done in 20 years. So make sure you're getting your championship gear because I certainly don't want to miss out on everything that they have available. And we have it for you right now, 45% off on the Super Bowl championship hat for the Kansas City Chiefs. Chatsports.com/SB hat. So if you haven't gotten your championship gear yet, you're sitting here waiting for the deals to come, now is your time. 45% off. I own this one. I got it right away. This is one of my favorite hats, actually, that I still wear. And I'm a pretty big hat guy, so take my word for it. It's a nice one. Chatsports.com/SB hat. 45% off right now. Deal won't last too long, so make sure you go out and get it. All right, let's go to the first offensive lineman that Mel Kiper talked about he could see the Chiefs drafting. It's Amarius Mims from the University of Georgia. And I like this pick because, well, this guy is absolutely freaking ginormous. And while that is a good thing, it can also be a bad thing in some facets. But he is speedy with that 6'7", 340 frame. Last past year, played a little under 300 snaps, had some injury problems throughout the season. 75.5 on the PFF grade is really solid, though, at a school that really prides themselves on pretty decent offensive lines throughout the past couple of years. Obviously, in my mind, Georgia has been the new Bama over the past 3 seasons. And guess what? Amarius Mims was a part of that. Big guy, really mobile, and a lot of things that I think he could bring to the Chiefs that would fit in well. Now, left tackle is where they would slot him. I almost, in some ways, would see that being a little bit of an issue with his size just because the Chiefs tend to side more with the agile tackles rather than the bigger ones. They do like to go big on the guard position, though, with Trey Smith, obviously, and Joe Thuney. So I'm curious to see if that would actually be an option. But I digress. That's what Mel Kiper said. I trust one of the biggest draft guys in all of the NFL. All right, the second option. I'm going to make sure I get this right. Kingsley Suamataia. There we go. It's a hard name. I've been practicing it. But Suamataia, he played both left and right tackle in college, which is a pretty good thing. 2 years prior, he played most of his snaps in right tackle. This past year in 2023, nearly all of his snaps were at left tackle. And while the Chiefs need left tackle, they're not going to be harping on, we need to draft a guy who played that in his college career. Because ultimately, when you get to the NFL, you're going to have to learn a lot of different things. And if you switch from right tackle to left tackle, it's not going to be that big a deal. I do think, however, there is a plus side if you did play left tackle in college. So given that he played both left and right, they could move him around, obviously, with Jawan Taylor on the right side. Maybe there's a chance they switch him if Taylor's penalties continue. So I like what he brings. I think there is some certain things that maybe would hinder me from picking him now. And then Roger Rosengard. I'm going to be straight up with y'all. Did not hear a lick about this guy until I saw about Mel Kiper and his basically draft talk of him. So Rosengardner, he's kind of the average offensive lineman. Nothing special about him. But again, played a lot of left tackle in college, which is something that the Chiefs are looking for. Now, personally, I may go in a different direction. And while I think that offensive line is a good mindset to think of, I don't know if I'm going to put a first-round pick into that, given you have guys like Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Jawan Taylor, who, again, I know we harp on Jawan Taylor's penalties. He was really good in terms of pass blocking and run blocking last year, aside from the penalties. And I want to extend those guys and make sure I pay them rather than going out and trying to get another left tackle. And so I've got 5 guys on my board that I'm watching for the Chiefs to go after. 3 of them are cornerbacks because I continue to say, even if the Chiefs keep L'Jarius Sneed this year, I do not see him staying with them on an extension into 2025. And so I want to be prepared for that, especially with a draft like this one where the cornerback position is full of top-tier talent. Now, funny enough, I've been doing mock drafts a lot, and I hadn't seen the first 2 names, Nate Wiggins and Kool-Aid McKinstry, go up to 32. Today, I did one. They were both there. I like both of them a lot. I think Nate Wiggins may go in the top 20 if someone likes him. You've heard me talk about Braden Fisk. That's the defensive lineman that I really like. I think it would probably be a reach in round 1, but I certainly don't see him being available with the Chiefs' round 2 pick. So kind of a give and take there. Jordan Morgan is the offensive lineman that I would take if you're going to take one in the first round. I don't know if he'd be available at 32. I've had him available in some, not seen him available in others, so have to wait on that. He has played left tackle, obviously, in his college career. That's why I picked him mainly over others. And Ennis Rakestraw Jr., Mizzou guy, he met with the Chiefs at the Combine. A lot of good intangibles. He's the one to be most likely available of the cornerbacks, guaranteed at 32. Again, I do think that would be a little bit of a reach, but once again, just like Braden Fisk, he would not be there at pick 64 with the Chiefs' second-round pick. So, what position would you pick if you're not going wide receiver? I know that a lot of us like to think the Chiefs will go wide receiver, and I am one of those guys, but let's play a hypothetical world that the Chiefs decide, no, we're not going to do that. Which one would you rather them have? Would you rather them get a cornerback to kind of prepare for the future, and should they trade L'Jarius Sneed, that'd be fine, or if he doesn't return 25, they are good? Would you draft a defensive lineman to help out the defensive line that was really, really good, brought most of their guys back, but still on the interior could use some help? Or is it left tackle? Is that the position you would like the Chiefs to go with, as Wanya Morris is right now the starter and Donovan Smith being the free agent? CB for cornerback, DL for defensive line, LT for left tackle. Let me know down in the comments section. I will say, before we move on, there is still plenty of time for changes. There can be movement in the draft board. There could be certain things that come out that make someone go and fall. I mean, there's a lot of things that have yet to happen. You talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. He is not going to play at his pro day after not playing at the Combine. So certain things can come in and really change the entire outlook of the way that the draft is slated. And sometimes, just like last year, a wrench gets thrown in all of it, like the Texans trading for back-to-back picks and getting some pretty good guys in those. I know you're fiending for it. I'm going to give you a little quick update on L'Jarius Sneed. I've seen the comments. You want to know about him pretty much every single day. So I'm going to do that as best I possibly can. Unfortunately, today, there's not much to report. If you missed it yesterday, the Titans and Sneed have been in communication over the past 24 hours. I can confirm, based on what I've seen around the media, that this talk has continued. I don't know to what extent. I think it's kind of quieted down just a tad. But again, the talks are definitely not dead. The update is not much. We just got to sit here and wait. From what I have heard, the Chiefs have honestly been okay with a third-round pick. I don't personally like that. I would rather him just play on a franchise tag and then give him up for nothing the next year if all you're going to get back is a third-round pick. But still, the big problem is L'Jarius Sneed wanting a $22 million contract a year, because it sounds like the Titans offered $80 million for 4 years, which, do the math, it's $20 million a year. Seems like Sneed wants a little bit more than that. Well, if I'm L'Jarius Sneed, I understand why he's asking for that, but at the same time, you're a 27-year-old quarterback who had just had the best year of his career, and you're already going to reset the market with $20 million. I would take that. I don't know if it's the Chiefs declining it. I don't know if it's Sneed declining it. That's just the reports that I've heard from the Kansas City radio. And we'll make sure to keep you updated on if anything changes, which is why you should join the Noti Gang, because guess what? When something happens, if something happens, you'll be the first to know. So go down there, hit that bell next to the subscribe button. If that subscribe button is not red, man, click that, and that bell will be right there as well. So we certainly appreciate y'all hanging out with us, as always, Chiefs Kingdom. And, well, that's all we got for you for now. Peace out.